What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So we finally have the information for the upcoming Kizuna Clash, and it introduces a fair amount of brand new characters. We also have the new Super Evolution character to talk about. I might make a separate video for the Super Evolution because there is a lot to break down in regards to that character. But we have the new Sugo, we got a new batch. Here we've got Vasco Shot, we've got Shiryu, and we also have Vice Admiral Doll making her first appearance in One Piece Treasure Cruise. So that's awesome. I know a lot of people are big fans of that character. So let's go ahead and break down exactly what's going on here. So this is going to be a Kizuna Clash Sugo Fest that is also combined with a support Sugo Fest. So they're combining both of them together. You can see in part 1 here that it's featuring a bunch of Kizuna Clash rare recruits. When you go over to part 2, it's actually featuring more support characters. You can see there's like Ashura Doji in the corner, there's Squad in the corner, and Vice Admiral Doll is considered a support rare recruit. So we'll break down all of the abilities, but of course the big highlight of this whole new batch of characters is that Shiryu is a Sugo Fest exclusive character. So yes, another legend in One Piece Treasure Cruise. Yeah, I know. Added to the list. I believe, according to Captain Pappy on Twitter, this is the 299th Sugo Fest exclusive in One Piece Treasure Cruise, meaning whatever the next legend is actually the 300th legend in the game, which is actually kind of cool. It's pretty crazy though. Let's actually break down what Shiryu does. I woke up this morning and I had a brief read about what he does. On paper, this guy seems very, very good. I am impressed with what they've done here with Shiryu, so let's break it down. Strength, slasher, powerhouse. The fact that he's a strength slasher is a big deal because, as we know, we've gotten a lot of strength slasher support recently. So I hope that he's actually good in Rumble because he might actually see some play with characters like Dory and Broggy that came out recently. And of course, we've got Odin, we've got K-Dad, we've got lots of support for strength and slasher. So his captain ability, it will reduce cooldown of all characters by 1 at the start of the quest. Strength slasher powerhouse get 1.2 HP. 5.25 times attack when you have a matching slot, 4.5 times otherwise. So it's not a very high multiplier compared to like some other characters that we have these days. Unless if there's something here that I missed that gives them more damage, but we'll see. It makes recovery and tandem slots matching. If your HP goes below 20%, it launches his special at the start of the next turn, only once per quest. And then there's a whole bunch of like stuff in regards to how that actually works. Once per quest, specials launched due to captain ability will not reduce... Well, I totally missed that. So I actually want to read this here. So it says, only once per quest, specials launched due to captain ability will not reduce the character's special charge time. If transitioning to the next battle due to the effect of the special launched by the captain ability, the special will not auto launch at the start of the crew's next turn. Okay, it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but basically all you need to know is that if you fall below 20% at the start of the next turn, his special will automatically launch, not reducing his own cooldown, which is big. He then has Captain Action Vanish, which is akin to what we've seen with Sober Mask, what we've seen with Legend Queen. But the big thing is that this lasts for 5 turns. For 5 turns, protects character from certain status effects, character's normal attacks will ignore all enemies' defensive effects and base defense, adds 300 times his attack in non-type damage on top of tap timing bonus damage for the character. That's so good. So we already know how powerful the Vanish and the Sober Mask Vanish is. And being able to do that, not for 3 turns, but for 5 turns is even better. Meaning you could use this on stage 1, you go through stage 2, and on stage 3. So having this last for so long is a really, really big deal. Meaning that you can avoid so many gimmicks on your captains, so long as, you know, Shiryu is your set captain, for multiple stages is incredibly strong. The only real downside to this character as a captain is that he doesn't have a great multiplier. Like 5.25 is actually pretty low for today's standards. Like you can get through a lot of content with a 5.25 multiplier, but in terms of high damage content, you're not going to be using him as a captain for that regard because it's just a little low compared to, you know, you can get up to like 6 to 6.5 times with some of the Super Sugo Fest exclusives. But outside of the multiplier, I'm very content with what they've done here. Like you've got cooldown, HP, matching slots, very basic stuff. Auto launching special is very valuable too. And then getting access to that powerful captain action, there's not a lot wrong with his captain ability is what I'm saying. It's very, very good. He doesn't get access to super type or super class because he has captain action, so I guess that is also an inherent downside. But obviously there's other upsides there. So I really like what the design with what they've done here. I think it's actually really, really solid. So remember that the special will auto launch when you are below 20% HP. So what does the special actually do? So first of which, it does a 20% health cut to all enemies. So it's a damage dealing special, which is a positive. It reduces the crew's matching and unfavorable slot effects for 7 turns, so that's very valuable. That doesn't happen too often. There's not like a lot of characters that remove that, so that's really, really good. He also removes all forms of poison, so that can get around poison slots if you're inflicted with them. He also boosts the chain multiplier by plus 1.8 for 1 turn, so it's a relatively good chain addition given to the crew. He then says that if the enemy has set target status when you launch the special, it sets all enemies' defense to 0 for 2 turns, and then applies increased damage taken to all enemies 2 times for 1 turn, ignoring immunity to status effects. That's already very, very good. It says, then after that, changes this character slot, including block, into tandem. Now, just about this. This is already a very, very good ability, right? The fact that he has a special that changes slots is a big deal, because we have a lot of the Blackbeard batch that have, you know, even like the global anniversary that came out in February earlier this year. A lot of these characters had supports that would attach to other Blackbeard pirates that would only trigger if the unit uses a special to change slots. So this character, even though it only changes their own slot, is really good because you get access to some of those key supports. So I like that. Being able to inflict defense down, it doesn't go through full immunity, but it's a defense down, and also doing the 2 times increased damage taken that goes through everything is very powerful. Of course, you need to have set target status in order for that to activate. Let's continue on with the rest of the special though. If your HP is less than 20% when you launch the special, applies a set target status, Slasher and Powerhouse characters will deal 2 times damage, and their special charge time will reduce by 2 turns for every enemy with set target status that they defeat. And that is inflicted to all enemies for 1 turn. So remember, when you fall below 20% HP and you use the special ability, it'll automatically launch. You get this effect. If you're below 20%, it inflicts set target status. And remember, when you auto launch the special ability, it will not reduce this character's cooldown. So if this character has max special, you fall below 20%, it will auto launch his special. You can then launch it again to then go ahead and get the defense reduction, get the increased damage taken through full immunity. Very, very powerful. It does continue to say that if your HP is above 20% when you launch the special, it will still apply set target status, but except instead of a 2 times damage increase, it's 1.75 times. So even if you do like, if you just find a way to just use his special twice, like this is incredibly strong. That he gets access to something like this. And of course, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but set target status is one of the better mechanics that they've released recently, because it's just increased damage taken that can stack with everything else, and it goes through full immunity all the time. It's very, very strong, and the fact that it works for certain classes is also means that, you know, not all set target statuses are made the same. We also, you know, Memories Usopp from Treasure Map Sugo Fest, he does it for Dex, Shooter, Free Spirit, or his set target status might just be for Shooter and Free Spirit, but there's conditions for it to activate. This guy, you know, straight up, you just get set target status. You know, Cross Guild as well, one of my favorite legends that released this year. He's also set target status for slashers and driven characters, I do believe. The other thing is that even if you don't have Cross Guild and you have an access to characters such as this, you can still use this with characters like Zoro and Sanji, because Zoro and Sanji can change everyone into a slasher, and then the set target status from Shiryu is just going to be working for your whole crew. So, and obviously we had Shanks versus Shanks that came out recently, who was solely focused about doing crazy big damage numbers with a full team of slashers, double stacking conditional boosts. There's lots to love here. So I think that Shiryu, as it stands right now, has a really good place in like high damage teams for slashers. For Powerhouse teams, he definitely can work as well. Obviously, he wants to be working with Blackbeard versus Blackbeard that came out recently. This is another way for those Blackbeard squads to be doing crazy amounts of damage, so I do like that for sure. But yeah, I think that he's probably going to see more play in a slasher team scenario with like Zoro, Sanji, and stuff like that, just because those teams are just able to do crazy numbers and just work against a lot of teams, a lot of enemies. So yeah, I think that the design of Shiryu is just fantastic. I'm a big fan. In terms of his crewmate abilities, you get a bit of bonus stats there, and then Slasher and Powerhouse strength and tandem slots will be treated as beneficial. If you need to get matching slots, you could potentially have a Kainu support attached to him, because he is a damage dealing special, meaning when you trigger that, it changes all your slots into strength, and then he, with his crewmate ability, will make them all matching for your crew, so that's a potential option as well. So as for his potential abilities, he's got the provoked attack one, which is good. He does have critical hit, which works really well with Shanks, as we know. And then he also does have super tandem. So as for the super tandem, at level 5 and also at level 1, the condition stays the same. You just need 2 of the listed characters on the crew. And the super tandem effect will give a 2.25 times attack boost to Slasher Powerhouse, and then also boost the chain multiplier by 1.3 times when activated, and makes type slots matching. So this is a 1.3 chain multiplicative buff, so that does stack with Shiryu's withstanding 1.8 chain addition. If there's anything, I wish that the special did give another buff. Like a 1.8 chain buff is good, but it only lasts for 1 turn. I kind of wish it lasted for multiple turns, but either way, it's still really good. I think Shiryu's tandem is just okay. It's not the most busted tandem we've ever seen. So remember, like, this is a Kizuna Clash legend, so I don't really think that many people are going to have this guy maxed out anyway, but it's something to look out for. His support effect attaching to all the Blackbeard pirates, does it include Kuzan as well? Yeah, it does include Kuzan. And the effect says that once per quest, if the enemy changes the crew's slots, so if the enemy does it to you, it reduces matching and unfavorable slot effects by 3 turns, and at the start of the crew's next turn, changes the supported character slot, including block, into tandem. That could be really, really unique. That could be good just to generate a tandem slot for whatever reason. It's not an amazing support, but it could be useful, especially if the enemy does have the ability to make slots badly matching. Could be pretty useful. Let's move on to the Rumble stuff. I didn't have a good look at the Rumble stuff, but let's go ahead and have a look. So he's focusing on Powerhouse. That is a bit of a shame. So he gives buffs to Powerhouse, giving them HP 6, defense and crit 5. When you strike a crit up to 2 times, your team gets attack and speed level 4. That's a really, really big buff. The fact that he gives himself crit, and then if you crit, you get the attack and speed buff for the whole team, that could actually be pretty strong. 29 CT special ability, targets himself for attack level 4, crit level 4, targets one enemy with low HP for ignoring defense 2.5 damage. Woo! Alright, that's a lot of damage, and the fact that he targets low HP means that this is likely going to kill something when he launches his special ability. If you've got one of the Blackbeard pirates on the crew, or a Kuzan, Kuzan is basically a Blackbeard pirate, so it is what it is. If one of those characters are on the team, targets Powerhouse teammates for attack 6, crit 6. You probably would run this with the Blackbeard, the versus Blackbeard. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good special. It is a shame that he's focusing on Powerhouse. I wish he boosted Slasher and Powerhouse, so you could use him in a couple of different teams. He does evade damage over time, so he gets around enemy Blackbeards, which is kind of good. And that's Shiryu, man. He looks pretty solid. I'm actually a really, really big fan of what they've done with Shiryu. I think he's a great Sugofest exclusive. But is he worth pulling for? Honestly, this is like a luxury character. You know, it's very nice to have a unit like this, but like hypothetically, if you already have a character like Cross Guild, you probably don't need this unit. Like, yes, this is going to make versus Blackbeard a lot better, but is it really needed? Probably not. He's definitely going to help in the Kizuna, I can tell you that for sure. Now, there is a Kizuna rare recruit debuting here, which is Vasco Shot. Vasco Shot, captain ability does not really matter. He is a shooter powerhouse. He's a strength unit. He reduces powerhouse cooldown by 2 at the start of with the special ability, not at the start of the quest. He applies an ignited status to all enemies for 3 turns. It does not go through full immunity, unfortunately. He will also reduce all enemies' damage threshold by 6 turns and changes block slots and unfavorable slots into matching, and adds plus 0.5 to additive chain boosts that are launched after this special by Powerhouse characters for 3 turns. So you want to use this guy first, so that when you use your Shiryu special, it gets a 0.5 increase. Okay, makes sense. And, you know, if you are special reversed, you got to use this character first anyway. So I guess it does make sense. If the captain is a Powerhouse character, boost damage dealt to ignited and defense down enemies by 2.25 for 3 turns, and then cut your health by 90%. Okay, this is meant to be used with Shiryu, obviously, and I am going to assume that in this content, the enemy is going to have, like, full immunity, except you're allowed to defense down and ignite them. That's probably what it's going to be like, let's be real. So, yeah, okay, he seems alright. I don't know if he's going to see a lot of play outside of Kizuna Clash, but the key takeaways here is that he does 2 turns of special reverse for Powerhouse, which is good. Although Powerhouse already had really good special reverse characters anyway, so I don't think it's like that unique. But he does also remove threshold by 6, which is good, and then he also does relatively decent orb change. Those are the key takeaways from that, so I think he'll be okay. He does resist special reverse by 2 turns. He is immune to stun, which is actually kind of interesting because he does have the HP cut so long as you have a Powerhouse captain. So he could actually see some play just because of that alone, even though we've got like the free-to-play Kizuna Arlong that came out a couple months back, who also basically fulfills the same role as this, although this guy does have slot change, so keep that in mind. He does have Barrier Pierce, which I like. He has a support, which attaches to all of the Blackbeard pirates. Once per quest, if the supported character uses a special, further increased chain lock multiplier by 0.25. That's interesting considering he's solely focused around boosting chain addition with his special, but then his support boosts chain lock. Okay, but either way, it seems okay. It might have some use. And of course, he does not have any rumble stuff, but that is Vasco Shot. And finally, we have to talk about the support rare recruit, which is going to be Vice Admiral Doll. Remember that support rare recruits, they don't really have like the best kits ever. So this character reduces resilience by, that's actually not bad. Resilience by 6 is actually really good. If you have, if the crew's HP is less than 91% when you launch the special, reduces bind by 5 turns, cuts the HP by 90%, and boosts fighter powerhouse attack by 2.25 for 3 turns otherwise. For a support rare recruit, that's actually not a bad special ability at all. I could definitely see this being used in the Kizuna, actually on the team. This is very similar to that little girl support rare recruit that came out with versus Shanks, where it was a support rare recruit, but the actual effect was good, then you'd actually use it in the content. What's the support though? Kobe, Helmeppo, Toshigi, Garp, Sengoku, Borsalino, Sakazuki. Once per quest, if supported character uses a special to boost the slot effects. So Garp, the new Garp and Kobe have the potential to do that. Applies a 10% fighter resistance to all enemies for 1 turn, and extends the duration of slot effects and end of turn healing by 1. Yeah, this could be pretty good with Kobe and Garp and stuff like that. But honestly, I don't think it's like that great. It's just okay. But hey, I know a lot of people are big fans of Vice Admiral Doll, so it's cool that we're getting representation for her in One Piece Treasure Cruise. But overall, the big thing here is about Shiryu, and I think he's actually a really fantastic character. So let me know your thoughts and opinions about this one down below in the comments section. What do you think about the brand new Shiryu Sugo Fest exclusive character? Really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.